Have you ever woken up, looked out your window, and seen your perfect green lawn turned into a bumpy, muddy disaster zone? You are not alone. Moles can destroy months of hard yard work in just one single night. But what if I told you that you do not need toxic poisons or dangerous traps to fix this? Today, we are going to talk about how to get rid of moles on your property forever, completely without chemicals. I'm going to share a simple, natural secret that moles absolutely fear like fire. Once you know this trick, you will never look at lawn care the same way again. So, what is your current strategy? Are you team trap or team poison? Let me know down in the comments right now, and let us see if I can change your mind by the end of this video. Before we can defeat our underground enemy, we need to understand who we are actually fighting. For centuries, farmers and gardeners have been waging a quiet war against the common mole. Back in the day, people used to sit in their yards for hours with shovels, waiting for the dirt to move. It was frustrating and mostly useless. A mole is a tiny mammal, usually only about 6 inches long, with giant, paddle-like front claws designed for non-stop digging. They live almost entirely underground in total darkness. Because they live in the dark, they are practically blind. However, to make up for their lack of sight, nature gave them an incredibly powerful sense of smell and highly sensitive hearing. This background is very important. Their super sensitive nose is exactly what we are going to use to chase them away for good. Let us start by looking closely at how a mole actually experiences the world. Picture this vivid illustration in your mind. Imagine being blindfolded and dropped into a completely dark, endless underground maze. How would you ever find your way around to survive? You would have to rely heavily on your sense of touch, and most importantly, your sense of smell. This is exactly how the mole operates every single day. Nature has given it an absolute superpower. It has a nose that is so sensitive, it can track a single earthworm through solid dirt from several feet away. Think of a police bloodhound dog, but tiny and covered in soft velvet fur. Now here is where we can use their own biology against them. If their nose is their greatest weapon, it is also their greatest weakness. By understanding this simple fact, we can easily outsmart them. If you introduce an overwhelming, highly unpleasant scent into their dark little world, it is like shining a massive, blinding spotlight directly into a person's eyes. They simply cannot handle the sensory overload. They panic and run the other way to find clean air. This is the true foundation of completely natural, chemical-free mole control. We are not trying to trap them. We are not trying to harm them physically. We are simply going to make their living room smell absolutely terrible to them. Before we reveal the ultimate solution, we absolutely must debunk a very popular myth. You have probably seen those plastic or metal sonic spikes sold in every garden centre. The boxes promise that if you stick them in the ground, they will vibrate and scare the moles away forever. Imagine a small plastic stick buzzing annoyingly in your yard. The idea is that moles hate the noise and the vibration. But here is the harsh truth. They almost never work for long. At first, a mole might be slightly startled by the new vibration and move away for a day or two. But moles are actually very smart and adaptable creatures. They quickly realize that the buzzing plastic spike is not a predator and is not going to hurt them. So, what do? They simply dig right around it. I have personally seen a molehill pop up literally 2 inches away from a buzzing sonic spike. It is a complete waste of your hard-earned money. Do not fall for the fancy marketing on the box. We need a solution that targets their biology, not just a temporary annoyance. Relying on these gadgets will only leave you with a lighter wallet and a yard that is still full of holes. Here is another crazy myth we need to crush right now. Have you ever heard the old wives' tale that you should drop pieces of fruity chewing gum down into the mole tunnels? The story goes that the mole will eat the sweet gum, their digestive system will get blocked, and they will naturally pass away. Picture someone secretly dropping bright pink bubble gum into a dirty hole in the ground. It sounds incredibly silly when you say it out loud, doesn't it? Well, it is entirely false. Moles are strict insectivores. They eat living, moving meat. They do not care about sugar, fruit, or artificial flavours. A mole will come across that piece of chewing gum, sniff it with its super nose, realise it is not a juicy worm, and simply push it out of the way into the dirt. Another terrible myth is putting broken glass or sharp thorns into their tunnels. People think the mole will cut itself and bleed out. This is not only incredibly cruel, but it also leaves dangerous sharp glass hidden in your lawn where your kids or pets might step on it later. We have to be smarter than this. Natural pest control requires brain power, not ridiculous urban legends. Now let us talk about the very real dangers of using toxic chemical poisons in your yard. When people get desperate, they often reach for heavy-duty chemical baits that look like fake gummy worms. Picture a brightly coloured, highly toxic rubber worm sitting in your garden soil. These are designed to mimic the mole's natural food source. While they might kill a mole, they introduce a massive risk to your home environment. What happens if your curious dog digs up that poisoned worm and eats it? What if a neighbourhood cat catches the sick mole after it has consumed the poison? You could easily end up accidentally poisoning your beloved pets or local wildlife, like owls and hawks. Furthermore, these harsh chemicals slowly break down and seep directly into your groundwater and soil. If you are growing tomatoes or carrots nearby, do you really want toxic pest control chemicals resting in the same dirt? Of course not. The risks absolutely outweigh the benefits. We want a lush, green, healthy yard, but not at the cost of creating a toxic hazard zone for our families and our local ecosystem. To defeat the mole, we must understand what it is actually doing in your yard in the first place. Why did they choose your lawn instead of the neighbour's yard? It is all about the food. Moles are not eating your grass roots. They are not eating your flower bulbs. Picture a mole as a tiny underground shark constantly swimming through the dirt looking for prey. Their absolute favourite meals are earthworms and thick, white grub worms. If your lawn is incredibly rich, moist and full of juicy grubs and worms, it is basically a 5-star, all-you-can-eat buffet for a hungry mole. They will dig miles of tunnels just to harvest this food. This means that if you have a severe mole problem, you actually have a very healthy, insect-rich soil. But knowing their diet is the key to our chemical-free strategy. If we can make their main food source taste absolutely disgusting, they will pack their bags and voluntarily move away. We do not need to eliminate the bugs completely. We just need to make the bugs unappetizing. This is a much smarter, more ecological approach to pest management. So what is this magical natural substance that moles fear like a blazing fire? It is pure, natural castor oil. Yes, the very same thick oil that your grandmother might have kept in the medicine cabinet. Imagine pouring a thick, heavy, slightly sticky yellow oil out of a bottle. Castor oil is derived from the beans of the castor plant. While it is completely safe for humans, dogs, cats and birds, it is an absolute nightmare for moles. It is their worst enemy. The secret lies in the unique chemical composition of the oil. It contains a specific acid that smells deeply offensive to a mole's highly sensitive nose. When you introduce castor oil into their underground environment, it overwhelms their senses. It is not a poison. It will not kill them. But it makes their entire living space feel toxic and unbreathable to them. Using pure castor oil is the ultimate eco-friendly weapon. It naturally breaks down in the soil over time, acting as a mild fertilizer while simultaneously driving the pests far away from your property. Let us dive deeper into exactly how this castor oil trick actually works underground. When you apply castor oil to your lawn, it slowly soaks down into the soil. Picture a microscopic layer of thick oil coating every single grain of dirt, every root, and most importantly, every single earthworm and grub in the area. When the hungry mole comes swimming along through the dirt looking for a snack, they grab a worm. But instead of a tasty meal, the worm is fully coated in strong smelling, terrible tasting castor oil. It gives the mole an immediate severe stomach ache. It is the exact equivalent of you trying to eat a delicious sandwich that someone has completely soaked in incredibly bitter dish soap, you would immediately spit it out and you would not want to eat at that restaurant ever again. The mole learns very quickly that the food in your yard is tainted and makes them feel sick. Because they have to eat almost their entire body weight in food every single day just to survive, they cannot afford to stay in an area with bad food. They are forced to quickly pack up and tunnel away to find a better, cleaner food source. Now, you cannot just pour straight castor oil directly from the bottle onto your grass. It is way too thick and heavy, and it will not mix with the dirt properly. You need to create a special homemade mixture. Picture yourself being a mad scientist in your kitchen, but using completely safe ingredients. Here is the perfect foolproof recipe. You will need 100% pure castor oil, regular liquid dish soap, and warm water. The dish soap is the secret binding agent here. Oil and water naturally separate, but the soap forces them to mix together perfectly. Take a spray bottle or a large garden sprayer. Mix 1/2 cup of pure castor oil with 2 tablespoons of your liquid dish soap. Shake this mixture vigorously until it turns thick and white. Then add 1 gallon of warm water to the mixture and shake it up again. Now you have a powerful, natural mole-repelling potion that is ready to be sprayed widely across your entire yard. This mixture is incredibly cheap to make, totally safe for your lovely plants, and absolutely devastating to the mole's sensitive stomach and nose. Having the right homemade mixture is only half the battle. How you actually spray it on your lawn is incredibly important. You cannot just spray the whole yard randomly all at once. If you do that, the mole might get confused, panic, and accidentally dig even more tunnels right under your favourite flower beds, trying to escape. Picture yourself carefully herding a flock of sheep. You have to guide them in the exact direction you want them to go. You must use a strategy called zoning. On day 1, you spray the area of your yard that is closest to your house. This creates a strong, invisible wall that pushes the mole slightly outward. Wait 2 full days. Then, on day 3, spray the middle section of your yard, pushing them even further out toward the edges of your property. Finally, on day 5, spray the absolute outer edges and the property line. By doing this in careful stages, you are slowly and gently guiding the moles entirely off your property, like showing them the exit door. Once they cross over the property line, they will not want to come back through that terrible smelling, oily barrier. Beyond liquid sprays, we can also use nature's own beautiful defences. Companion planting is a fantastic, completely natural way to keep moles at bay. Certain blooming plants naturally produce chemical compounds in their deep roots that moles absolutely despise. Imagine planting a gorgeous, bright yellow border of happy flowers that secretly acts as a heavy-duty security fence underground. 2 of the most famous examples are marigolds and daffodils. Marigolds release a strong scent into the soil that naturally deters many types of insects and burrowing pests. Daffodils are even better. The bulbs of a beautiful daffodil are actually slightly toxic. Moles and mice know this instinctively and will absolutely refuse to dig anywhere near them. By planting a thick border of these specific colourful flowers around your most prized garden beds or along the absolute edge of your lawn, you create a beautiful living wall that moles will simply refuse to cross. It is the perfect combination of stunning landscaping and highly effective organic pest control. Another amazing group of plants you can use for chemical-free mold defense belongs to the allium family. This family includes everyday culinary favourites like garlic, onions, chives, and leeks. We all know how strong a fresh clove of garlic smells when you chop it up in the kitchen. Now picture that intense, sharp, spicy aroma soaking directly down into the dark, damp dirt. Because the mole has a nose that is thousands of times more sensitive than a human being, the smell of growing garlic roots is completely overwhelming and actually painful to them. It burns their sensitive nasal passages. You can strategically plant ornamental alliums which grow beautiful tall purple flowers directly into your landscaping. Or you can simply take cheap garlic cloves from the grocery store, crush them slightly to release the strong oils, and drop them directly down into the active mole holes. The intense spicy vapour will quickly fill the tunnel system, making it completely unlivable for the pest. They will immediately evacuate that specific tunnel and run far away from the spicy smell. Sometimes the absolute best defence is a strong physical barrier. If you have a specific small area that you need to protect at all costs, like a raised vegetable garden or a delicate flower bed, you can physically block the moles from entering. Picture building an underground castle wall made of strong steel wire. You cannot use regular cheap chicken wire because a determined mole can actually squeeze right through those large holes, or they will simply rust away in the damp dirt. You must use galvanised hardware cloth with a 1/2 inch mesh size. You will need to dig a narrow trench completely around the garden bed, at least 2 feet deep. Then, you bury the tough metal mesh vertically in the trench, making sure it bends outward slightly at the very bottom into an L shape. When the mole comes blindly tunnelling along, it will crash headfirst into this solid metal wall. Because it bends outward at the bottom, they cannot easily dig straight down and under it. They will become frustrated, give up, and turn around to find an easier place to hunt. It requires some hard physical labour up front, but it is a permanent guaranteed solution. Let us talk about the environment you are providing for these pests. Moles absolutely love soft, wet, squishy soil. Why? Because it is incredibly easy for them to dig through, and more importantly, wet soil is absolutely packed with juicy earthworms near the surface. If you are constantly watering your lawn every single day, you are accidentally rolling out the red carpet for moles. Picture a sprinkler spinning endlessly, turning a firm lawn into a muddy sponge. You are making their daily life far too easy. One of the simplest, zero-cost ways to discourage moles is to simply change your watering habits. Instead of watering a little bit every day, you should water your lawn, deeply but infrequently, maybe just 1 or 2 times a week. This allows the top few inches of the dirt to dry out and become firm and hard. Moles hate digging through hard, dry, compacted dirt. Furthermore, when the top layer dries out, the earthworms naturally dive much deeper into the ground to find moisture. The moles will follow the worms down deep, meaning that they will stop creating those ugly raised surface tunnels that completely ruin the look of your beautiful grass. Since we know that moles are primarily hunting for food in your yard, another brilliant natural strategy is to remove their favourite snack. White lawn grubs are a huge draw for moles. If you have a grub problem, you are almost guaranteed to get a mole problem soon after. But remember, we promise no toxic chemicals. So how do we kill the grubs naturally? Enter a microscopic miracle called milky spore. Picture spreading a harmless-looking white powder across your grass. Milky spore is actually a naturally occurring, highly specific bacteria that only attacks and kills the Japanese beetle grubs living in your soil. It is completely 100% harmless to humans, pets, birds, earthworms, and your lovely plants. Once you apply the spore powder to your lawn and water it in, it infects the grubs. As the grubs die, they release billions more spores into the soil, creating a self-sustaining natural defense system that can last for up to 15 years. Without the fat, juicy grubs to feast on, the moles will look at your yard as an empty restaurant and move on. If you want another incredibly cool biological weapon against lawn grubs to starve out the moles, you have to learn about beneficial nematodes. Picture a million microscopic, invisible hunting worms swimming through your watering can. Beneficial nematodes are tiny, naturally occurring organisms that you can buy safely online or at good garden centres. They usually come packaged in a small sponge. You simply rinse the sponge into a large bucket of water, load that water into a garden sprayer, and spray it over your damp lawn in the evening. Once these tiny warriors get down into the soil, they actively hunt down the grubs, enter their bodies, and naturally eliminate them from the inside out. It is nature taking care of nature. It sounds like a science fiction movie, but it is a highly proven, organic landscaping method. Just like with the milky spore, by naturally reducing the giant grub population in your soil, you are effectively taking away the mole's primary food source. When the pantry is totally empty, the hungry pest has absolutely no choice but to leave your property completely. We should also talk about the absolute oldest natural pest control method in the world, natural predators. If you have an outdoor cat or a very active terrier dog, you already have a built-in mold defense system. Picture a fast, agile cat sitting completely perfectly still on the grass, intensely watching a small patch of moving dirt. Dogs and cats have incredible hearing. They can actually hear the faint scratching sounds of the mole digging just below the surface of the grass. A good hunting cat will wait patiently until the dirt moves and then strike with lightning speed. Terrier breeds of dogs like Jack Russells were actually specifically bred for hundreds of years to dig up and catch small, burrowing rodents. Even if your pet never actually catches the mole, their constant heavy footsteps, barking, scratching, and scent left around the yard create an environment of extreme high stress for the blind little digger. Moles want a quiet, peaceful place to hunt. If they feel like they are constantly being hunted from above, they will eventually abandon those tunnels for a safer neighbourhood. Here is another fantastic, completely free home remedy that utilises things you probably already throw away every single morning. Used coffee grounds. Imagine taking a large bowl of dark, wet, strong-smelling coffee grounds and dumping them right into the dirt. Moles rely heavily on their sense of smell to navigate and find food. The intensely strong, bitter aroma of roasted coffee is highly disorienting to their sensitive noses. It masks the natural smell of the earthworms and grubs, making it impossible for them to hunt effectively. Next time you brew a pot of coffee, do not throw the wet grounds in the trash. Save them in a container. Go out to your yard, find an active raised mole tunnel, carefully poke a small hole in the top of it, and pack a large handful of the wet coffee grounds directly inside. Then cover the hole back up with dirt. The strong coffee smell will permeate completely through the tunnel system. The mole will hit that wall of bitter scent, become highly confused and annoyed, and refuse to use that specific tunnel pathway ever again. If you want to step up your kitchen chemistry game, you can make a super spicy flush to pour directly into their main tunnel highways. Picture yourself boiling a cauldron of the spiciest hot sauce imaginable. Take a large pot of water and boil it on your stove. Add 2 cups of incredibly hot cayenne pepper powder, a huge handful of crushed garlic cloves, and a few chopped up raw jalapeno peppers. Let this spicy potion boil and steep for a few hours until the water changes colour and becomes intensely infused with the heavy oils. Let it cool down, strain out the solid pieces, and pour this fiery liquid straight down into the deepest mole holes you can find. Remember, a mole's nose and eyes are incredibly sensitive. When they encounter soil that has been soaked in pure, spicy capsaicin oil, it physically irritates them. It creates a burning sensation that they cannot tolerate. They will run from the treated soil as fast as their little paddle paws can possibly carry them. It is highly effective, very cheap, and uses absolutely zero synthetic chemicals. Once you have successfully driven the moles away using the castor oil, the spicy peppers, or the natural grubs control, you still have one major problem left to deal with: the empty tunnels. Picture a network of hollow, delicate tubes running everywhere just under the surface of your grass. If you do not collapse these empty tunnels, other pests like field mice, voles, or even a new family of moles will eventually move right into the abandoned real estate. They love finding pre-built homes. To prevent this, you need to flatten the yard. You can rent a heavy, water-filled lawn roller from a local hardware store. Slowly push this heavy metal cylinder back and forth over your entire lawn. The heavy weight will gently crush the empty surface tunnels flat, pushing the dirt back down and removing the hollow air pockets. This not only makes your lawn look perfectly smooth and beautiful again, but it destroys the infrastructure. Any new mole passing by will have to start digging completely from scratch, which is hard work they usually want to avoid. Finally, the absolute key to being mole-free forever is long-term, natural maintenance. You cannot just spray the castor oil one single time and expect them to stay away for the next 10 years. Picture a protective, invisible shield over your property that slowly fades away in the rain. You need to recharge that shield regularly. Once you have reclaimed your beautiful yard, you should plan to apply a light maintenance spray of your homemade castor oil and soap mixture at least once every 3 months, or immediately after a period of very heavy rainfall. Keep a close eye on your lawn's moisture levels. Make sure you are not overwatering and creating a muddy paradise. Encourage natural predators and consider applying beneficial nematodes once a year to keep the delicious grub population perfectly balanced. By combining these smart, chemical-free strategies, you are changing the entire underground ecosystem of your property. You are making your yard a tough, bad-smelling, totally foodless desert for a mole while keeping it a lush, green, safe paradise for your family and pets. So, let us review what we have discovered today. The ultimate secret to getting rid of moles is not an expensive, highly toxic poison, and it is definitely not a useless vibrating plastic stick. The turning point is simply understanding their biology by using their incredible sense of smell against them with natural castor oil, starving them out by treating the lawn grubs organically, and ruining their tunnels. You create an environment they absolutely cannot survive in. It is a brilliant, completely eco-friendly twist. You can finally have that perfect, flat, gorgeous green lawn without ever putting your kids or pets in danger. If this video helped you understand how to fight back naturally, please hit that subscribe button right now to join our gardening family. Give this video a big thumbs up so it can help others save their lawns too. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever tried a crazy home remedy for pest control that completely failed? Tell me your funniest or most frustrating yard disaster stories down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.